Welcome to Fabulosity For You, and my name is Angie. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please click that subscribe button, and welcome back to all of my fabulous ones, and welcome to my fabulous ones that are new with me. Okay, so today I am doing the review of the 90-Day Fiance Season 11, Episode 10, Where Did Our Love Go? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Okay, so before we get into it, go get your drink of choice, go get your snack of choice, and come back and sit with your girl Angie. Email, text, call. You better stick a letter in the bottle, baby, and let everybody know that your girl Angie is on the line. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. The first couple that we're going to talk about is going to be Mahdi and Stevi. Okay, so Mahdi and Stevi, this episode, Stevi is talking about how, well, not Stevi, but Mahdi is talking about how he and Stevi, they teach English online. He decided that he was going to propose to her today. And I knew this was going to happen. I knew he was going to propose to her because he had already said last episode, hey, let's get married early before the rates go up on being a citizen. So she was like, I don't think so. She had a lot of doubts about him because he kept saying he want to go home. He miss home. But I don't think he miss home like that, okay? I think he's just trying to act like he really here for her and not because he wants to be in the United States, which we already know he don't love Stevi, but moving right along. So he tells her, pack a bag. We're going to be gone for a couple days. We're going to go for a drive. I want to take you somewhere. And she's like, likes to be in control. Because most women from the United States, when they get with a man from another country, they love to be the one that's in control. And so she was like, well, where are we going? I'm not just used to not just knowing what's going on. And he was like, listen, just go pack a bag. So she packs a bag and he tells her she has to drive because he can't drive the United States. And they're driving and it's a long drive. He says it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive. And so she was like, well, what if I was to decide to just leave you here? And he was like, well, I'll just go back to Iran. And she just was acting like she was so hurt because she's like, she's sick and tired of him saying the same thing. He wants to go home. And so she tried to cop an attitude. And he was like, listen, you was joking with me. I'm joking with you. What is the problem? So as they're driving, she's starting to be familiar where they're going. And she was like, I know where we're going. And she was like, oh my God, the shops. This is one of my favorite places I told you about. They have the stores and the coffee shops. Are we going shopping? Is that why we're here? And he was like, no. So he ends up taking her to where they're going to stay. And it was a real little cute place. And she was like, oh my God, I just love it. I am so excited. What are we going to do now? And so he said, well, I'm going to take you somewhere. So he ends up taking her to the beach. And on the walk that they're doing, he says, I really love you. I want to be with you. You don't have to worry about me leaving you. And then she looks up and he had already prepared, or somebody prepared it for him, some candles with a sign to say, marry me. Off in the distance were some soccer players and they were watching it all. And he was like, listen, I love you and I want to be with you. I will never leave you. And she was like, I'm asking to marry you. And so he pulls out the ring and she was like, are you sure? And he was like, I'm sure. He said that he had seen in the movies where people make a big deal out of the proposal. And so he really wanted to do something romantic. And so she took that ring, honey, and you know she was going to say, yes. And so it worked, honey. It worked. That man knew he had to do something fast, okay? Because she was starting to have doubts and acting like she didn't know if she wanted to get married. So he was desperate. He had to do what he had to do, honey. And not only that, he really wanted to hurry up and marry her so he can get his citizenship and move on with his life. And so that's how that ended. They kissed and Stevi seemed very happy. The next couple we're going to talk about is Jessica and Juan. Okay, so Jessica is at work because Juan can't work yet. He doesn't have a green card. So his job is to take care of the kids while she gone, keep the house clean, and cook meals. And honey, this man couldn't do nothing. The kids was, the big boys was running around fighting. And then he had to cook, I guess, a lunch or dinner or whatever. And it was macaroni and cheese in the box. And he not used to, had never cooked from a box. And so he couldn't even read the directions right. And so it looked like soup. Now, he even knew he didn't do it right. So the baby boy called his mama and was like, listen, Juan don't even know how to make macaroni and cheese. She was like, what's wrong with it? It's real soupy. I can't eat that. She said he probably didn't empty the water. So he said, can you please bring home a pizza? And so she said, okay. So she gets home and this man is like one of the women. He's like, whoa, wow, honey. His hair was all over his head, honey. He looked like he'd been in a fight. And he was trying to cook some fish. And she was like, is that fish you cooking? He was like, yeah. She said, I don't like fish. And he was looking all stupid. And he was like, listen, I'm just tired. I just don't feel like this is me. It's hard. The baby been crying all day. He not feeling good. The kids been running around. I've been cooking, cleaning. And I am wore out. I don't know. And he said in the confessional, coming from where he came from, the single life, living single, he is not used to being Susie Homemaker. He used to be being the one going out making the money, not staying home with the kids. And so he said he hopes he feels better because he can't live here for the rest of his life. Not like this. So he tried to tell her how he was feeling, and she was like, well, I do this all the time. You need to just jump right into it and step into being a father. That's what part of being a father is all about. And even though he knows that, I just think she should have been a little bit more, have some more compassion for him. Because when you have never, this is his first child, and so he's never raised children. She's been doing it. She has 2 for years. He's not going to be able to be like you right away. Okay? And so it can be very overwhelming. And I feel like she should have been a little bit more compassionate. She was like, listen, I'm here for you if you want to talk, but this is what it is. You're not working. So you got to keep the kids. So she decided they should go out to give his mind, make him feel better. And so they met her friends out bowling. And an old crazy girl, I believe her name is Megan. Of course she was there. And first thing she said was, have you been cheating? Are you going to do better? And I'm so glad he saw her. Listen, I don't have to answer your questions. This is between me and Jessica. It is none of your business. And I'm sick of you bringing it up every time I come around. And I was so glad that Jessica jumped in and said, listen, if this is how you're going to, each time we come around, this is what you're going to talk about, then we're not going to come around. Why would we come around? And then she was saying in the confessional, I would love for her to be my maid of honor because she is my best friend. But if she's going to behave like this, she's not going to be able to be my best maid of honor. She's not going to be able to do that. And so she was looking like, well, I understand, but I would tell you this, if you mess over my friend again, I'm going to ruin your life. And he looking at her like, girl, bye. Girl, go ahead on. Take care of worry about your own man and make sure he ain't cheating on you. How about that? So then she gets up and bowls and fall flat on her face. And he was like, they was laughing, him and Jessica was laughing, and Juan was like, that's your karma. That's your karma, bitch. Okay? I'm like, go ahead on. She needed to fall on her face because it's none of her business. Okay, so moving right along, the next couple we're going to talk about is the throuple, which is Amina, Matt, and Annie. I really think that this is really not a true relationship, that this is just real phony. They just want to be on TV or whatever the situation is, because it ain't making no darn sense to me. So after last week, they went out to, I believe they were they went on a camping trip or something like that. So they're going back to Annie's house, and in the car, because they want to meet the daughter. They have already met her, but they want to see her daughter, and they had gifts for the daughter. The other two kids, they have not met yet. So Annie was like, listen, I got to go to work tonight, so I'm not going to be able to hang out with you guys. I haven't seen my child. And they was like, work? Yeah, I got to go to work, honey. I got to pay bills. I have to pay the babysitter. I have to pay my bills. I have bills, okay, to pay. And only way I'm going to be able to do that is to go back to my job. And they said, stripping? Of course stripping. That's my job. And then she started talking about how some of her friends that she's met, male friends, bring her daughter and her kids gifts. And they was like, so you introduced these strange men to your children? And she was like, no, not really, but they give me gifts and you take them. And then she was like, why wouldn't I take them? And whatever else they want to give. And so Matt was like, that don't sound like somebody that's trying to be really into us, accepting gifts from strangers. And then Amina was like, and then she's sitting up letting people touch her. I know it's her job, but I feel like the man where I don't like nobody putting no hands on somebody I'm with. And she, as I said to you before, she is the man in the relationship, okay? She is the man. And she really was looking for a wifey. So she told on herself when she said that. So then they didn't have no choice but to understand, but they felt a certain way. So they go to her home and her little girl is there, and the way Annie's with their girl, her daughter melts their heart. And they were like, I like to see her in her environment with her kids. She just seems so loving. And this is what we're looking for. And I can just see our family blended. Our daughter's the same age as her daughter. And so they give the baby the gift, and she's appreciative and smiling. And you can tell Annie is so happy to see her daughter, and her daughter's so happy to see her. And Amina felt a little bad that they taken up all of Annie's time away from the daughter. And so after that, they go on and talk, and as Annie said, Amina had told Annie that we're really taking what we're doing seriously, and they just hope that she's doing the same. So they end up leaving and let her spend time with her daughter and let her take care of her business and go to work. And so they get back to where they're staying at, and Amina is struggling to tell Matt that Annie the other night said she really into her and not to him, and she only gonna do it for her. And so she feels like the longer she holds it, the harder it's going to be. So her and Matt are talking, and Matt is saying, this is a good situation. I like to see her around her kids. I think we just really didn't know her that well. I don't think that she just really tried to leave things out from us. We just didn't know parts of Annie. And so Amina agreed, and Amina was like, I have something to tell you. And so she went on ahead and told Matt that Annie said she's more comfortable with her and she has feelings for her, but really don't have feelings for him. And the reason why she wants to be a throuple is because of her. And so Matt felt a certain way, because at the end of the day, Matt will be in competition because Amina take care of Matt. And so if if Mina decides to be with Annie and kick him out, then what? He left in the cold, honey. He don't have no job. And so he's kind of figuring out that maybe his wife really wanted Annie for herself. And she did. She did. She says she's bisexual, but I believe she probably more towards women than she is the man. And she might have just married Matt to have children and for her family, because it's not accepted from her country being bisexual. And so he was feeling a certain way. He was like, I feel like just calling this whole thing off. I don't feel comfortable. He told Amina, listen, I have to think about this. I don't know. I'm like feeling a certain way. So tomorrow, I don't want to see nobody. I want to have time to think about the next move and how I really feel. And she was like, I love you. And in a way, it seemed like she was happy to tell that man that, because he was saying at first he loved her and they sleeping together without her, and she was feeling jealous that Annie really wanted her man. And so to see him feel a certain way, I think she kind of got a kick out of that, honey. So we'll just have to wait and see what really happens. So the next couple that we're going to talk about is Joan and Greg. I believe this particular episode was made up because Greg's mother really do like Joan, okay? They don't have no dirt on Joan. Joan, they can't say she lazy because they said the mother said Joan the other day asked, hey, where's your mop and bucket and the broom, and start cleaning up their area, which she loved because old lazy Greg don't do none of that. And she's not walking around sad all the time. So the mother, and then Greg is happy. And so the mother is happy with Joan. So Greg supposedly had this interview with the state. And how many jobs is he going to get with the state? Because the last interview was with the state. So I don't know. I don't know about this job situation. It might be a job he already has and they playing this role. I don't know. But it don't sound right to me. You got another interview with the state. But anyway, he goes off and Joan is left with the mother. And they're sitting down talking. And Greg's mother says, listen, I have a project for you to do if you okay to do. And she was like, sure. She said it might be kind of silly. And she goes back and she had this basket full of mixed socks. And she said, I need you to help me find the man. And she was like, no problem. So she said, how long do you wash when you're at home? When you lived in your country, how long does it take you to wash? And she said, it takes me about 3 to 4 days. And she was looking at her like, what? Because I wash the clothes with my hands. So it takes a very long time. And so modern. And the mama was still looking at her like, what? And so she said, but it's real modern and everything is real nice in the United States when you have the washing machine and it wash for you. And so she said, well, I know you miss your parents and your family. And she said, yeah, I do. And she said, and they're going to come to the wedding? And she said, yeah, I need my family here. And she said, well, I do understand that. Well, are you happy here? And she said, yeah, I'm happy here. You're a nice person. I like you. You've been very hospitable. She said, now, if it's something you don't like, you can tell me. And she said, well, yeah, privacy. I just feel like you're in the house all the time. You need to get out some more. You need to leave the house more so we can have privacy. And the mama did a double take like, honey, this is my house, right? We are in my house, right? And she was like, oh, really? Well, this is my house. Well, yeah, I know we're the intruders and all of that. I know that. We'll be leaving soon. And his mother felt really uncomfortable and felt a certain way when Joan said that. She said, well, I guess Joan really is an appreciative woman because I feel like I've been really going out of my way to really be kind to her. And this is what she says to me. I'm going to have to tell Gregory about it. So do I really believe that Joan would say that to the mother? I'm going to say no, because Africans really have the utmost respect for the elders. She wouldn't talk to her mother like that, so I don't think she would do that. I think production probably told her to do that. That's what I think. So then Gregory comes home and the mother's telling her what happened and how uncomfortable she felt and made her feel kind of bad. And so he said, wow, I will talk to her about it because this is your house. You do pay the bills. We are appreciative. And we're going to... So he was just saying, we're going to be here a while so he can't upset my mama. And we in her house. So he goes to Joan and Joan is like, well, how did it go? And he was like, I guess it went okay. Well, what do you mean? I don't know. I think it went all right. And she was like, okay. So he said, I talked to my mom today. And she said that you said that she needs to get out the house and we need privacy. Why would you say that to her? And she said, well, I was really just trying to gauge her and just see how far I can go with her. Well, why would you do that? I was just testing her. So are you testing me? And so she was like, well, I just wanted to see, you know, how far I can go. And so did that answer really make sense? Absolutely not. That's why I know this was a made-up scene to just start some confusion in the house with Joan. That's it. To start confusion in the house. And so he said, well, I know you guys are women and y'all not going to always get along, but I guess as long as you guys not scratching you guys' eyes out, I'm going to stay out of it. And she, in confessional, was like, I just really wish that he would have taken my side. He took his mother's side. So that don't even make sense. Why would he take your side when you set up and disrespected his mama? Girl, back to this whole thing. I'm done talking about it. It was phony, in my opinion. So the next couple, and I believe this will be the last couple, is going to be with Mina and Mark. Okay, so last week they're in Florida. Diane at the boutique was telling Mina about Jade, his ex-girlfriend. She goes home and she tells the next day, they didn't go home, but they at the hotel or whatever. The next day, Mina decides to visit Jade, to meet Jade out. She called Jade up and she put on her white new outfit. The outfit and everything was cute, but I think she needs to do something with her hair, the wig or whatever. She needs a better wig. It looked a hot mess. Okay? Her makeup to me didn't look good. Especially when you finna meet the other woman, honey. You want to make sure your nails are done, your hair is laid, and your makeup is flawless. But she had a bad outfit on, okay? So they meet at this little restaurant outside, and Jay walks up, and she's absolutely gorgeous. And Mina was looking like, okay, she looks good. I'm glad she looked good because they say she looked like me, okay? And so to me, they didn't look alike. Except for they was both small and they both had long hair. That's it. But anyway, so Jay walks up and she's feeling like, why am I here? Why am I here? And so they say hello and they little pleasantries and it was just silent. So then Jay was like, so why am I here? And she said, well, I was at the boutique, a Diane boutique, and my mind, she messed with my mind. She told me that Mike had broke up with you. Well, Mike told me he broke up with you, and then Diane told me something different. And so I just want to know what happened. Did you break up? Did Mark break up with you? And so she was like, no, that is not what happened. He did not break up with me. No, that didn't happen. And Jay was like, she need to know what's going on. So she said, and then I want to know, was he dating you and me at the same time. And so she said, well, you need to know this. No, I don't think we were dating at the same time. We had already broke up. She said, what happened was I broke up with him, okay? Because he wanted to move to New Hampshire and I wasn't with it. And so because of that, we went on ways. We did try to get back together. He did try to get back together with me, but I wasn't having it because, number one, I moved on. I'm in a new relationship and I'm happy. And number two, he was a cheater. He was going, we were in the bed and then his phone was connected to his iPad, and while we're in the bed, I can see that he's sitting up there texting some other woman saying he want to take her to Martha's Vineyard. And so I'm like, oh no, that's not gonna happen on my dime, on my time, and we laying in the bed. How disrespectful. So I was done with him. Moved on. I'm happy now. I have a man. I'm in a good relationship. So she said, oh, okay, that doesn't seem like the Mark I know, that he would do that. She said, I just wanted to know because Diane said so many things. And she said, well, let me just say this. You don't have to work. I think, am I the one? She said in confessional, I am the one I believe that got away. I think that when he did meet her, he still had feelings for me. And I'm the one that got away. But at the end of the day, she said, we don't have no, he don't, every now and then he'll check up on me and call me and see how I'm doing. But that's it. Once we broke up, we broke up. So she said, so you went to Diane's boutique. How much did you spend? And she said, well, I spent about $1,000. And she said, she should have spent $2,000 or $3,000. And so they both started laughing. And so she said, well, how is everything? Are you excited about the wedding? And she said, well, I'm kind of, his family, I have problems with his family. And she was looking like, oh my God, let me give you the tea, honey. The mama is a trip. She like to be in his business. You gonna have problems with the mother. So she was like, well, yeah, they talked about me wanting to sign a prenup, and I knew nothing about a prenup. He never talked to me about the prenup. And she was like, watch your back. Watch your back. His family's a trip. And I just feel like the bag is Mark. And they trying to make sure Mark don't fumble the bag. And they want to make sure they still going to get the money. Okay? Because we already found out in the last episode that he set up and bought Jordan a BMW. So they don't want Mina to come in. She done already had one baby and have all these babies and they be left out. So that's what that's about. So after they got finished talking about that, they started kicking in like they was old friends. And she was like, I see why Martha like you. You're beautiful. You're beautiful and you're a nice person. And so they ended up giving each other hugs. And she said, I'm going to call you and keep in contact, and invited her to the wedding. Even Jade was like, really? You want me to come to your wedding? Well, if you send me an invitation, I'll be there. So to me, this was phony too. Because Mina been with Mark for 5 years. They got a daughter. He's about to marry her. And evidently, if he cheated on Jade, she obviously was not the one. Obviously. So I don't know why they keep saying that. She wasn't the one. Okay? And so, to me, this was a made-up scene as well. So, they leave, and Mina goes back to where they're staying at, and Mark is with the baby, and he's all nervous that Mina met up with Jade. And Mina comes in, and he says, oh my God, I'm glad you made it back. Did everything go okay? And she said, yeah. And so he said, so what happened? And she said, she just told me what happened. I liked her, and she's beautiful. And I'm just glad she's beautiful since everybody was saying we looked alike. And so he said, well, do you trust me now? And she was like, Yeah, I do. I trust you. But she was like, but what you do need to, and Jay said this as well, you need to keep your family out of our business. Because what we do is between us. It shouldn't be between your family and us. And he said, she said that. She said, yeah. And he said, well, I agree. I agree with that. I felt like the family was too much involved. And that's something I'm going to work on. And so they ended up having a nice night after that. And so that's how that ended. That's all I have. I hope you enjoyed the recap of the 90 Day Fiance. And I'll see you in the next video.